Hello everyone. For those who have periods or will have periods in the future, do you ever reflect to how your very first period was? Or do you think to yourself, how will my first period go? It could be as quick as possible, your parent is with you and they're willing to help you along this new stage of life. Or you have something similar to my story. Well, here we go, my first period story. So my very first period, I had it when I was 12, which was 6th grade, and I was sitting in science class, the very last class of the day, and I had this overwhelming feeling to use the bathroom, so I rose my hand and I asked the teacher to go, and I went ahead and went. Walked to the bathroom, and as I was finishing up, I looked down and there was blood everywhere, and holy moly, was I surprised. I was waiting for this, but I didn't expect it to happen so quickly. I was 12, which is a common age to start your period, just I was thinking it would happen more around 13. Being a 12-year-old that was very subconscious of her self-image, immediately started to panic. How am I supposed to ask my teacher to go to the nurse? How am I going to go about telling the nurse that I started my first period? So as the intelligent 12-year-old I was, I put my knees together and I waddled back to my science class, where I stood in the doorway of the classroom and everyone was looking at me, and I swear I was the most awkward looking child to ask if she could go to the nurse. I look at Mr. L and I'm like, can I go to the nurse? And he was about to say why, but he stopped himself, almost reading the situation of this 12-year-old with her knees together in his classroom door, and just shooed me away like, get out of here, stop interrupting class. And I'm like, thanks, and I quickly run down the hallway, down the stairs, and down the hallway again, absolutely making a fool of myself in front of my 6th grade class. My 6th grade class definitely knew what was going on. They're like, Autumn just had her period, and everyone's looking at one another. I remember just feeling their eyes watching me go down the hallway. And I finally make it to the nurse's office, and I'm like, holy moly, here I am. And I once again, dramatically appear in the doorway when I see none other but my crush sitting there on a cot with a broken ankle. And I couldn't tell the nurse that I just started my very first period cycle in front of him. And he has an ice pack on and he's like, oh man, it hurts. And and they're gonna call his parents and whatnot. And I'll call her Nurse Shell. She was a sweet, sweet woman. Looks at me and says, hey Autumn, what can I do you for? Like, do you have another headache again? I had a lot of headaches growing up. And I'm like, no, I'll wait for so-and-so crush boy to leave. I won't interrupt. And she's like, oh no, you can tell me. I'm like, no, I can wait. And she almost insisted to tell her what I needed to be there for. But then she's like, oh, I see what's going on. So she sends broken ankle crush boy back to class. He's like, get out of here, you're fine. But he's like, oh, but Nurse Shell. And he's like, nah, get out of here. And he sends the poor boy away. And I look up at her and she looks down at me and she's kind of giving me a look. And I'm like, Nurse Shell, I just started my period. And she's like, oh my God. And she gives me a hug and she spins around and she starts to dance and she shakes me and she's all like, finally becoming a lady. And she shows me all the stuff in the bathroom, here's the pads, and you do this. And I'm like, thanks to Nurse Shell. And she gives me one and then she leaves me in the bathroom. As I'm getting myself all situated in the bathroom, I hear her pick up the phone and start dialing my mother's number. And she gets my mom's voicemail and she's like, Mags, which is my mom, Autumn just became a woman today. She just started her first period. I'm so happy for you guys. And she's going on and I'm like, oh my goodness. And I'm so embarrassed. I'm just standing there waiting for her to finish up the call. And and I have this huge old diaper pad in between my legs that I didn't even put on right, and I waddle back to class. And then there, 2 girls are waiting for me in the hallway and they're like, we know what's going on. We're doing the same thing. And I'm just like, no, does everybody know? And they're like, of course, you made it so obvious that you started your period in the middle of class. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And I remember I walked in and another boy that I also fancied walks up to me. He's like, you're finally becoming a woman, closer to my kind of girl. And I'm just like, what the? And then for the rest of the week, nobody stopped talking about how I started my period in the middle of science class, and I've had it since then. So I'm 21 now. But yeah, it's not as terrifying as you may think or anything like that, but that was quite traumatic for a 12-year-old girl. But all right, everyone, have a great day. Like this video if you did. Don't if you didn't. Subscribe to me, you'll get more of me. All right, everyone, have a good day. Bye-bye.